Welcome back to the garage here at Basin Motorsports. So today we're going to do some R&D to help a wheel company try to figure out what wheels will and will not fit with the big brake kit on the WideFox. So previously I've made different wheel videos and really kind of sizing videos on how to measure for custom wheels given the car itself. I've also done wheels on how to do a big brake kit, make sure it fits with your wheels. Like you have the wheels now, you're adding a big brake kit to make sure it all fits, or do you need spacers or anything else to accommodate? And then I've also done a video previously on how to, how would I need to change the dimensions on the wheels in order to accommodate coilovers on the WideFox. So the backstory of this is there was a wheel company this week in one of the Mustang groups I'm in on Facebook that was asking some questions like, what do you have? What are you looking for? And so I answered that, basically I need another wheel if I'm going to do what I want to do with version 2.0 of the WideFox. I was looking for a low offset set of wheels. Right now mine are plus 23. I need something somewhere around the plus 0, so basically 0 offset, in order to fit a coilover without adding spacers and extra studs. Now it turns out they didn't have the dimensions of all the Brembo big brake kit that I have on here, the Ford Performance kit or the 2000 Cobra R. So today I'm going to jack up the WideFox, at least on one side, throw some jack stands underneath there, take off the front and rear wheels and get dimensions for them so that they can kind of have that in their database going forward. I don't know that any of this is going to work out for WideFox. I've got some big ambitions of a completely metal wide body kit for this winter. I would like to add some extra wheels in that, maybe just change it up a little bit. And then I also have the big ambition of getting this car down to SEMA in 2021. So next year, assuming they go back to an on-site show, I would like to get this car down there, plus any other things else. So before we do that, let's get the car lift it up, get some jack stands underneath the subframe connectors, support it on at least the driver's side where I'm sitting, and we'll get the wheels and tires off front and back to get some dimensions. All right, so here are some of the dimensions they are looking for. You can see there are 2 columns for front and rear brakes. You're looking at all of these dimensions. So everything has got a letter defining what it is and then where to measure from. And usually about everything is measured either off of the center of the hub going radially out the brake caliper and the rotor itself, or it's measured from the surface where the wheel touches against the brake rotor, the mounting surface. You can see it's either out this way or it's either up and down radially based on the center. So what they're going to do here is just look at some of these dimensions of the highest point of the caliper, the widest point of the caliper, the upper between the inclination start to end, etc. And then we're going to look at the hub, going the diameter, the height, everything else. Now again, this over here, this car model type year PCD, all that stuff will be based on my car. And then I'll show you. So this is what we're measuring against. This is the M23X brake caliper kit that you can buy as an aftermarket. It comes from Ford Performance or anywhere else. I got mine through JAGS, but this is what it is. It's a 13-inch rotor. It's a slotted rotor. with the 4-piston Brembo brake calipers. So let's go ahead and get out some calipers and we will start getting measurements here. All right, so I've got the front now measured for everything. I haven't done to the rear yet. So essentially these brake calipers honestly are not blocks, right? They're a lot of curvature to them. Even on the front edge here, between the top and bottom edge of the pistons themselves, have some radius or some curvature on this side. So some of these things they're looking for on this is, one is the hub dimensions here, especially from where the brake rotor is, where the mounting surface is, to the edge of the spindle here, where it comes out, the cap itself. Now remember, I got the lug nuts on here just to be able to hold the brake rotor steady onto the surface of the spindle and that. So beyond that, you can see it's down to the bottom edge here of this, so make sure the wheel hub fits in there. You can also look in here for the curvature from the bottom edge here, where this comes to make sure the spokes come up from the hub itself. They come up over the caliper or the edge of the pistons here, and then also looking radially from the center of this hub out to each step of this, so to make sure that the spokes really of the wheels, especially when a low offset and everything else, or a high offset, as you vary that out, the spokes will come in and out close around this, especially on the big brake kit. So I think I've got all the dimensions there set up. Now these range kind of depends on really what it is, but everything is either based spatially cross car, so away from the surface, each of the details of the hub, the cap, everything else there, and then also on the surface this way from here out to the edge, and then radially from the center of the hub going out, looking at where the caliper mounts at the bottom curvature here of the piston, the top curvature, looking at this, and then even the surface out here to make sure you're on the drum of the wheel itself. So an 18 obviously fits. I know that fits. A plus 23 offset fits because that's what I have in the current wheels I have, and I know the spacing between the spoke there and where this caliper is. Now remember, when I did that video, the options of how to move this out, you can obviously move the wheel out with a spacer, or if you decrease the offset back to 0, wherever plus 23 means the surface of where it is actually outboard on the wheel. If you push that in, it makes the spokes go out. It's all a relation. So now let's get down to doing the rear wheels themselves, and then I can fill out the rest of the sheet and send it into them. All right, so we got the back done here. Pretty simple looking at it. Now most of the hub stuff itself is pretty similar, at least the diameters of things. Now one of the things that the rears does not have that the front does is actually a dust cap. So the rubberized cap that goes into the suspension and that, it is not in the rear. So you basically have just the steel of the axle itself, to where the brake rotor fits over the hub of the steel on the axle itself. That goes on there, and then the caliper obviously is much smaller. Piston size is the same. It's 38 millimeters on the back, where it's dual 38s on the front for the 2-to-1 bias, but everything else on the back is done. So here are some of the dimensions that they're looking for, and then you can kind of see what matters between front and rear. So just simply looking at some of this, you have your brake rotor in here, which is this. You have the hub itself for the rotor, and then you have where it attaches to. So on this part you have a little bit of here that is going to be your cap, which is this little curvature. So you're looking at radius between, if there's any, between the spindle itself or the brake rotor. You've got your caliper, and of course calipers are not exactly as simple as what they're showing here, but you've got your dimensions, right? Your radial dimensions from the center of the hub out to the bottom of the caliper, looking at your curvature where this happens, and then you've got your top and then your dimensions in that. So you've got various pieces. So radially you're looking at stuff, looking at 124 out to B, which is the bottom here, 150 to here. You've got D, which is 190 on the fronts, where it's only like 150 on the rear. So just looking at some of these caliper dimensions there, if I come down here to the center hub for the car, you can see that the center hub on each is about just under 71 millimeters. You've got some caps, some other pieces in here, but where they are similar front to back, you're going to see that they're pretty darn close, within a millimeter on everything. And then of course they want to know a little bit about the car, just for reference. So of course the car is the infamous WideFox. It's a Ford Mustang. It's a notchback coupe, which really doesn't matter in this case. It's a 1980, but you know, details of it is you have of course the SN95 spindles, the Ford M2300X big brake kit, which is the 13-inch rotor, the Brembo 4/5 caliper. It also has a 3-inch wide body, just in case that matters. And then of course, here's my contact info. So don't call me, don't text me, don't be a weirdo. So from this point on, now I just need to basically scan this in, email it to them, and then they also said they wanted some pictures of some of the calipers and stuff, just so they have some reference when they look at these dimensions. They can go, oh, okay, now I see it there where it's measuring here and there. Now again, I have big plans for this car. I hope to get it down to SEMA 2021 is my goal. Now I don't care if it's outside showing somewhere or it's in a booth. Booth is cool, but let's be realistic. This car may just be sitting somewhere outside in a walkway, which to me is fantastic. So with that, we'll see if this turns out. This may do nothing other than get some dimensions out there for this wheel company to make wheels, and who knows, you guys may have some shots at some different wheels if you're interested in that for your Fox later on. This at least will get them some dimensions going out there, going forth. So with that, a little bit of R&D today, but otherwise we'll see you next time. And now let's get back to the gray lady.